Today you will discover 15 songs that shook music forever. Ready for the journey? Let's get started. Number 15. Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen. In the heart of London, Freddie Mercury gave life to one of the most ambitious compositions in the history of rock. Bohemian Rhapsody was born as a musical experiment that completely broke the established rules. It had no conventional chorus. It mixed styles as different as ballad, opera, and hard rock, and its duration exceeded 6 minutes, a risk that no record company considered viable at that time. The production was equally revolutionary. Over 3 intense weeks in the studio, Queen recorded the song in sections, layering over 180 vocal tracks to achieve the sonic richness Mercury had envisioned. The level of detail was so extreme that many parts of the song were recorded note for note, as if it were a modern symphony. Each member contributed their virtuosity, but it was Freddie's vision that transformed the chaos into art. The result was a piece that didn't just challenge the norms, it transformed them. Its success was immediate and resounding, conquering the charts without needing to adhere to the commercial format of the time. Furthermore, the promotional video for the song, one of the first of its kind, laid the groundwork for what would later become a key tool in the music industry. Bohemian Rhapsody, it wasn't just a song, it was an artistic statement, an act of creative courage that still leaves those who hear it speechless today. If you're passionate about the stories behind the songs that changed the world, subscribe and join us on this musical journey that's just beginning. Number 14. I Want to Hold Your Hand by the Beatles. Before the world tours, the deafening screams, and the unleashed Beatlemania, there was one song that changed everything. I Want to Hold Your Hand, released in 1963, this pop gem not only marked the Beatles' true breakthrough, but also sparked the British invasion of the United States. With its infectious melody, perfectly synchronized vocal harmonies, and overwhelming youthful energy, the song captivated American audiences even before the band set foot on US soil. It was the first time a foreign group had sold more than 1 million copies before its official release in that country, breaking cultural and commercial barriers like never before. This single not only defined an era but also transformed the way pop music was conceived, written, and produced. Its success changed the course of the industry forever. But what was it about this song that made it so irresistible to an entire generation? Number 13. Stairway to Heaven by Led Zeppelin. In 1971, Led Zeppelin released a song that not only became a rock anthem but a musical experience that defied time and commercial logic, Stairway to Heaven. It was never released as a single, yet it managed to remain among the most requested songs on the radio for decades. The reason? A structure as unconventional as it is powerful. The song opens with a soft, almost mystical acoustic guitar, which gradually evolves into an electric outburst charged with emotional intensity. Each section seems to lead the listener on an upward path, as if it were truly a stairway to heaven. The lyrics, wrapped in symbolism and mystery, add a spiritual layer that invites personal interpretation, while Jimmy Page's guitar solo is considered one of the most memorable of all time. More than a song, Stairway to Heaven, it is a sonic journey, masterfully constructed and with raw emotion, that left an indelible mark on the history of rock. But what is it about its chords that still sends shivers down your spine just by listening to the first few bars? Number 12. Like a Rolling Stone by Bob Dylan. In 1965, Bob Dylan broke all the established rules and introduced the world to Like a Rolling Stone, a song that not only changed his career, but also redefined what a piece of music could be. With a runtime of over 6 minutes, a raw sound and sarcastic lyrics, brimming with irony, Dylan challenged radio stations and the entire industry with a work as uncomfortable as it was revolutionary. From that first, heartbreaking organ blast, played by Al Kooper, who snuck into the session almost by accident, the song sets a completely new tone, direct, insolent, and deeply emotional. Dylan doesn't sing, he delivers point-blank truths. His verses recount the fall of someone who had it all, and now wanders aimlessly, nameless like a rolling stone, in a society that no longer offers him shelter. This was the moment when rock stopped being just entertainment and became a tool for confrontation and honest expression. Number 11. Good Vibrations by the Beach Boys. In 1966, Brian Wilson and the Beach Boys radically changed pop with Good Vibrations, a song that broke with all the conventions of its time. Far from recording it in a traditional manner, Wilson spent more than 6 months constructing it piecemeal, in different studios, and then assembling it as if it were a symphonic work. The result, a completely innovative sound collage, one that no one expected to hear on the radio. Using recording techniques ahead of its time, such as modular assembly and unusual effects like the electro-theremin, the song created an ethereal, almost otherworldly atmosphere. The transitions between soft, dreamy, and explosive meant that every second offered something new and surprising. It was pop, yes, but it was also a complete sensory experience that elevated the genre to new heights. Good Vibrations, not only did it showcase Brian Wilson's genius as a producer, but it also marked a turning point in how a popular song could be constructed, with freedom, ambition, and a meticulous ear for detail. What if I told you this song was so risky it almost didn't see the light of day? Number 10. Light My Fire by The Doors. When The Doors released Light My Fire in 1967, they not only presented a new sound but also a provocative attitude that would define an entire generation. Although guitarist Robbie Krieger wrote most of the songwriting, it was the band's collective spirit that gave it its unique blend of psychedelia, jazz, and rock, making it a symbol of the counterculture. The original version was over 7 minutes long, with extensive instrumental solos that broke with the radio formulas of the time, but even so, it reached the top of the charts. And if we're talking about iconic moments, just remember when Jim Morrison on The Ed Sullivan Show refused to change the controversial line, "We can't go much higher," despite the producer's warning. His decision sealed the band's reputation as true rebels. More than a song, Light My Fire, it was a spark that ignited the musical and cultural revolution of the 60s. Do you also believe there are songs that ignite something inside you? Leave us a yes or no in the comments. Number 9. A Day in the Life by the Beatles. As a closing of the legendary album's Jet Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, A Day in the Life, it represented the pinnacle of the Beatles' sonic experimentation. It was a masterful fusion of two worlds, John Lennon's introspective surrealist vision inspired by real news reports, and Paul McCartney's dreamlike everyday life, woven into a single song by the meticulous vision of producer George Martin. With a 40-piece orchestra, chaotic crescendos, and a final piano chord that stretches for over 40 seconds, this song took pop to a whole new artistic dimension. They even included a high-pitched tone that only dogs could hear, as a nod to their signature humor and constant desire to break new ground. The result was a haunting, powerful, and absolutely unforgettable piece. It had no chorus or conventional structure. It was like a journey without a map, where the unexpected guided every musical turn. Therefore, more than a song, it was a sonic experience that transformed the way we compose, produce, and listen to popular music. A song that begins in the ordinary and ends in the eternal. But what if I told you that ending wasn't really the end? Number 8. Be My Baby by the Ronettes. From the first bars of the drums, Be My Baby, it draws you in like few songs can. Released in 1963, this pop gem not only captured the romantic spirit of a generation, but also redefined the way music was produced. It was the most perfect example of the so-called wall of sound, a revolutionary technique by Phil Spector that consisted of stacking instruments, voices, and echoes to create an emotional density that completely envelops the listener. Ronnie Spector, with her unique blend of sweetness and vocal power, delivered the lyrics with disarming honesty. She was no longer the submissive girl waiting for love. She was a confident voice demanding it. And that in an era of rigid female roles in music was profoundly disruptive. Be My Baby, it didn't just sound different. It said something different and powerful. The influence was immediate and lasting. Brian Wilson of the Beach Boys was so impressed, he called it the greatest recording of all time. Since then, this song has resonated in movies, playlists, and hearts for generations. Because there are classics, and then there are Be My Baby. Number 7. My Generation by The Who. In 1965, The Who didn't just release a song, they unleashed a declaration of generational war. My Generation, it wasn't written to please, but to shout to the world what many young people felt but no one would say out loud. With its iconic line, "I hope I die before I get old," the band channeled the frustration, rebellion, and desire to break with the past of an entire British youth. Roger Daltrey stutters with intent, John Entwistle's distorted bass roars, and Keith Moon's drums seem about to explode. Everything about this song is designed to unsettle, to provoke. It even features one of the first truly propulsive bass solos in rock, which was unthinkable at the time. It was pure chaos, but with direction. It was a sonic manifesto. The impact was immediate: radio censorship, rejection by adults, and adoration by young people. My generation. It became an anthem of identity, of pride in not fitting in. A song that not only defined an era, but also planted the seeds for punk and the most rebellious rock. Is there still some of that wild energy left in today's generations? Number 6. Respect by Aretha Franklin. What began as a male plea in the voice of Otis Redding was transformed, in 1967, into a roar of female power thanks to Aretha Franklin. Respect, the Queen of Soul didn't just reinterpret a song, she gave it new meaning, demanding dignity, equality, and recognition with overwhelming force. Her steady voice, "Sock It to Me" choruses, and famous RESPECT spelling became symbols of the civil rights movement and women's empowerment. Franklin didn't ask for permission. She claimed what was rightfully hers. Number 5. More Than a Feeling by Boston. In 1966, Boston burst onto the scene with a song that seemed to come from the future. More Than a Feeling, far from being just a catchy hit, it was the result of painstaking work by Tom Scholz, who created almost the entire song in his basement, layer by layer, note by note. The combination of carefully recorded guitars, intricately harmonized vocals, and almost surgical production broke with everything known about hard rock. The song wasn't just a hit, it defined the sound of an entire generation and laid the groundwork for stadium rock. Its melancholic melody, combined with its enveloping instrumental power, connected with millions of listeners who found a deep and timeless emotion in it. Did this classic move you as much as we did? Subscribe now to not miss the next anthems that changed the history of music. Number 4. The Sound of Silence by Simon and Garfunkel.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
When Simon and Garfunkel released The Sound of Silence in 1964, there was no great applause or astronomical numbers. It was a folk ballad that went unnoticed until everything changed a year later. Producer Tom Wilson, without asking permission, decided to electrify the song, adding electric guitars, bass, and drums, giving it a new sonic dimension. That remixed version conquered radio stations, dominated the charts, and in the process, saved the duo's career. But beyond its commercial success, this song became a cultural turning point. Its melancholic and profound lyrics spoke of a lack of communication that still resonates today. The line, "Hello, darkness, my old friend," was no longer just the beginning of a song, but the opening of an uncomfortable dialogue about isolation, inner silence, and the loss of connection in a society that was beginning to accelerate. Number 3. All Along the Watchtower by Jimi Hendrix.
In the year of 1833, and I think it's pretty true still today, if you can dig it.
When Jimi Hendrix took Bob Dylan's original song and transformed it into All Along the Watchtower, he didn't just rework it, he completely reinvented it. With his electric guitar as his guide, Hendrix constructed an apocalyptic atmosphere filled with tension and mystery. His raw, explosive, and deeply expressive style took the narrative to another level, turning the song into a sonic journey that seemed to anticipate an imminent collapse. Every note seemed to speak for itself. The production was as meticulous as it was visceral, with layers of overlapping guitar, unpredictable rhythm changes, and an almost mystical energy. Even Bob Dylan publicly admitted that Hendrix's version surpasses his own, and has since adopted it as the definitive interpretation in his own concerts. Do you think this version is the best reinterpretation of a song in rock history? Leave your yes or no in the comments. Number 2. Gimme Shelter by the Rolling Stones. Composed in the midst of a social and political storm, Gimme Shelter. It wasn't just a song, it was a stifled cry amidst the chaos. With its somber tone, trembling guitars, and haunting percussion, the Rolling Stones captured the feeling that everything could collapse at any moment. Mick Jagger and Keith Richards created a piece that spoke not of peace, but of the desperate need for refuge. But it was Mary Clayton's voice, guesting on backup vocals, that elevated this song to immortality. In a single late-night take, Clayton poured her soul into the studio, delivering a performance so intense that her voice cracked as she screamed, "Rape, murder, it's just a shot away." That raw, emotional, and utterly real moment was forever etched in her memory. Her heart-shaking scream not only brought the song to life, but also made Gimme Shelter an emotional X-ray of an entire era. Number 1. Fortunate Son by Creedence Clearwater Revival. Launched in 1969, at the height of the Vietnam War, Fortunate Son It wasn't simply a protest song, it was a visceral roar against injustice. With his raw southern voice and furious rhythm, John Fogerty aimed directly at the heart of power, denouncing how the children of the elite avoided the front lines while working-class youth were sent to die. It was an unfiltered, direct, uncomfortable, and absolutely necessary statement. His cutting lyrics, accompanied by electric guitars that seemed to crackle with rage, connected with millions who felt the weight of an unequal system. Fortunate son, he didn't ask for permission or seek approval, he simply spat out the truth. And he did so with such force that its echoes live on decades later, in every conflict, in every injustice that repeats the same cycle. If this song gave you goosebumps, wait for what's coming in the next video. Don't miss it.